I'm glad the people that are in logistics right now, in brokering of freight as a freight broker agent, or maybe even a freight brokerage owner, depending on when they started in the industry. I'm glad that the ones that got started in 2021 or around that time when things were really good, to say the absolute least, for 3PLs, logistics companies, lots of trucking companies did very well at that time. I'm very glad that they are seeing the reality of the logistics industry and how cutthroat it is outside of that little bubble that we experienced. And sure, public service announcement. This is a very difficult industry to break bread in. It's a very difficult industry to make money in. And difficult meaning you have to put in the hours, you have to put in the work to reap those benefits. Okay, there's just no cutting corners. If you're doing it the real way, the ethical way, there's no cutting corners. It's very difficult, but difficulty doesn't mean impossible. When you're going out there talking to shippers or whatever kind of customers that you absolutely have to be different than your competition. Now, this doesn't mean reinventing the wheel, but you have to be able to explain to the shipper or whoever your customer is how you're different than everybody else that's walked into that specific shipper before. Some people are really good at selling themselves on communication. If that's your card, go with it. If you're a straightforward person, truthful, honest, integrity is above everything else for you, sell that. Sell that to the shipper. But I can tell you one thing that 100% doesn't work. If you go into the shipper telling them that you're the cheapest, you're the best, nobody's better than you do everything right, there is not one thing that you ever failed at. We all have lapses in judgment. We all have miscommunication. The main piece of advice that I can give you when you're building as a freight broker agent or an owner of a brokerage, just do the right thing. I know that sounds very simple, but literally just do the right thing. And a lot of that has to do with communication. And so many times I tell new agents, shippers, they really could care less if you're late, like per se late, as long as you communicate that. You write them an email, you call them. And a lot of times they say that, people that have been in this industry for a long time, a lot of people say that if there is a problem, if there's an issue that's larger than life, so to speak, pick up the phone and call your customer. It's a very difficult situation. It's a difficult conversation to have, but it goes a long way showing your character and showing what you stand for. And if it's something super simple and good news, you can always write an email and let them know whatever that good news is. Whether it's a pickup that's happened, whether it's a current location, whether it's a delivery check call, whether it's the POD, whatever the case may be, or something tenth. But I'm still telling you guys, it's a very difficult industry because there's a lot of competition. You have to set yourself apart and you got to try new things. You got to try new ways of trying to get into certain places because, it's if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and this is a reminder for myself as well, not just you guys, you guys and girls out there, but you just have to adjust your approach. If something isn't sticking, adjust your approach. It doesn't mean if you're being honest, go lie. It just means that if one method of communication is not working, try another one. If you're selling yourself on the fact that you have trucks, that's a very generic way of it approaching shippers because everybody has trucks. Every broker and their mother is going to talk about how they have trucks in the area. But if you're being specific about how those trucks could benefit that shipper and why they should be choosing your options That's what's going to set you apart. All I'm saying is, I don't like the fact that a lot of people make it seem like, oh, it's super easy. Your first week, you're going to start making $10,000 in gross profit. Some people are saying you're going to make 10,000 in net profit. That's just not realistic. Like that's not a realistic way of selling to people what this industry is like, because that's the furthest thing from the truth. And a lot of times, if you don't have a transferable book of business, that means a book that you can carry with you with all your customers with you. And rarely is a book ever 100% transferable from agency to agency, that is, from agent to agent. This just means that you would have to start from scratch, from the complete beginning, trying to go after new customers. Some people under non-solicitation contracts that they've signed, which states that the current customers that they even brought into a specific brokerage house, they can't even take them with them for a certain amount of time. Sometimes it's 2 months, sometimes it's 2 years, sometimes it's more. But we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to be honest with other people. It's a very difficult time right now. The economy is not firing on all cylinders. There's slim pickings. And shippers are loving it. The ones that are actually moving things that have volume, they're loving it because they can pick and choose who they want to work with. So you get thrown into this basket with all these other brokers and all these other service providers, and you have to somehow stand out. And being generic, not being communicative, being dishonest, being disloyal, trying to cut corners, this will come back and bite you. You might succeed once. You might succeed 10 times. But in the end, it will come back to bite you. And shippers are not dumb. They will catch on to your tactics. You will also realize that running a freight brokerage, a new one especially, if you're just getting into this industry, that in the beginning, if you don't have the money, if you don't have the capital to pay carriers in advance, sometimes in advance even of pickup. Other times it will be COD or collect on delivery, before it gets offloaded from the truck. Sometimes you're going to run into issues where they don't even want to quote you unless you explicitly state that you will pay them up front. So if you don't have the funds to do so, if your liquidity, if your liquid cash isn't there to actually process a transaction, that's going to be difficult. You're going to have to find different ways of paying these carriers. There's different methods out there to do so, but what I am saying is you will find it as a new broker very difficult. If you're opening up your own brokerage that doesn't have a credit score, that isn't an established company, you're going to find it very difficult to find carriers who are willing to work with you, especially in the United States, and especially ones that use factoring companies, where the factoring companies will say, we don't know who this brokerage is, we don't have any history on them, so we can't help you. I'm sorry, but we can't buy this invoice. In other words, they won't allow you to work directly with that brokerage that's new. That's something you have to keep in mind. And sometimes the decision to be had is, will you open up your own brokerage right off the bat and go through the growing pains, or will you actually go with an already established broker, build your book of business, and hope for the best that you can transfer that book sometime down the road when you decide to go on yourself, or on your own, excuse me. But these are just some tips. I mean, there's many more. If you guys want to, check out the channel. There's a lot of things that I talk about, dispatching and brokerage, in both lights. I've ran my own trucks. Right now, I don't have any of my own trucks. Right now, I am just brokering freight. I'm not dispatching any trucks. I teach people in brokerage and dispatching, respectively, can get them educated. But at the end of the day, it's how you will differentiate yourself from the competition. That's how this industry has been, and that's how this industry always will be. Cheers! Subscribe, like, share, whatever the heck it's called. Bye.